If you're trading Solana coins, your day probably looks something like this. You open up Dex Screener, sort by the 1 hour, maybe the 6 hour, potentially even the 24 hour. You scroll down and you see all these coins, sometimes hundreds, and you're looking for something that catches your eye, either a name, maybe the number associated with the price going up. Either way, you're trying to answer a simple question. Is this coin worth buying? But the problem is you don't actually have enough information to answer that question. At least not with much confidence. And I don't think that's Dex Screener's fault. Dex Screener is excellent at what it's designed to do. It gives you charts, price action, volume, liquidity, and market cap. It gives you market data. But the market data isn't the same thing as decision making. When you're looking at a chart, you're still asking questions like, is this a quality coin? Is this coin worth a buy? How does it rank versus other opportunities currently available to me? And how much confidence do I have behind this coin? You want to know, how does this coin compare to every other opportunity currently available to you? But none of those questions are answered by staring at another chart or Dex Screener or FOMO. So what ends up happening is that most traders are relying on intuition. This chart looks good. This narrative feels strong. I've got a good feeling about this one coin. And sometimes that works. Honestly, I've traded a couple of coins and sometimes it's worked out for me. It's worked out better in better market environments, not in the current environment we're in today. But a lot of the time, it simply isn't sustainable. And because everyone is looking at the exact same charts with the exact same tools, there's very little information edge available. Now, here's why this matters. People think the cost is just the trades they lose. I don't think that's the biggest cost. The biggest cost is everything you never really spent time to measure. It's the hours spent looking for opportunities that don't go anywhere, the opportunities you completely miss because they were never on your radar, and the bad trades you take because you didn't have enough context, and then that leads to losses, which is another type of opportunity cost. So every decision made with incomplete information costs you either time, money, or opportunity. And after doing this long enough, I realized my biggest problem wasn't finding the coins, it was filtering them. In today's environment, there is simply too many coins launching for us to be able to filter all that information efficiently. So at this point, I don't need more coins. I need a better way to filter the information to know what's worth looking at and what isn't. That's why I started building MoonVision. Not to replace Dex Screener, but to answer the questions I actually wanted answered before I risked my money. So in this video, I want to show you how I think about filtering opportunities, what MoonVision does differently, and why I changed the way I trade. So how does MoonVision actually help you? So the entire goal is pretty simple. Instead of forcing you to scan hundreds of coins every day, MoonVision's job is to filter the market and bring you the strongest opportunities so you can glance at them and see what stands out. The first thing you'll notice is that every coin receives both a rank and a grade on the graded tab. Ranks go from 1 to 4. Rank 1 and 2 are historically our strongest performers. Rank 3 and 4 can still produce great trades, but statistically they are weaker. On top of that, we also have every coin that receives a grade, and it goes from S all the way down to D, which helps measure the overall quality of the opportunity. Now, personally, I like to focus on coins on grade B and higher, and the only time I'll really consider a lower grade is if the confidence score is at about 30% or higher. And that's because the stats say when a coin is 30% or higher, it has a higher win percent chance that deserves some attention. Now, the important thing here isn't the grade or the rank alone, it's how they work together. A strong grade tells me that the setup is a high quality, and a high confidence score tells me the system is becoming more convinced that this coin could be a winner. And when both of them line up, that's usually when I pay the most attention. Now, let me show you what I mean. Let's take Jim as an example. When MoonVision first surfaced it, the coin was sitting around $563,000 in market cap. At the time, it carried a grade B. And at the time, I didn't buy this immediately because I was still building the system and I didn't trust it fully. But over the following days, I kept watching it, and the TCG narrative was still gaining traction. So it kept popping up and it kept grabbing my attention. So I clicked on the chart and started to check it out as the price kept dipping but remained stable. I noticed the grade was improving and the signals kept getting stronger instead of weaker. So it gave me more conviction to begin building a position while I continued researching the project itself. And then on June 10th, I shared it publicly. I saw the dev was still shipping and people were actively playing this game. Everything I was seeing off-chain matched what MoonVision was giving me, so I felt pretty convicted in that trade. And from there, Jim went on to rally about 550%. And that's exactly how I like using the system, not as something that blindly tells me what to buy. I never do that. I never blindly just trust it, but as something that points me towards opportunities that allow me to investigate further before other people start to notice. And a lot of people don't have the same edge because they have so much information coming towards them. You'll usually find yourself ahead of the curve by searching opportunities that they have not even caught on to yet. Now, that's just one way to use MoonVision. The second way is using the trending tab, and this is where you hunt for newer opportunities before the grading engine has collected enough information to assign a grade. The trade-off is pretty simple. You have more upside, but also more risk. Sometimes you'll catch projects at a much lower market cap, but you're making decisions with less historical data. A good example here is Neil. MoonVision surfaced it while it was still extremely early. Around the same time, I noticed the news coverage started to spread around Neil the Seal. And from experience, I know that internet attention can move these kinds of coins very quickly. The confidence score wasn't particularly high yet, so I wasn't relying on the system alone. I combined what MoonVision was showing me with my own experience to make a decision. I tweeted about it around a $70,000 market cap because I felt like the risk to reward was insane. These types of play don't come around often, and when you see a viral animal like this, it usually tends to run. So over the following days, I noticed attention continued increasing while price was lagging behind, and eventually Neil reached roughly a $1.5 million market cap, which was over a 700% move from when it was first flagged. Now, I probably wouldn't have found that coin if it wasn't for my system flagging a potential viral meme coin. But here's something important to highlight. The point isn't that every coin becomes a winner, it's that MoonVision is consistently getting these opportunities in front of you before the timeline gets to see it, before influencers start grabbing attention and putting eyeballs onto it. And Jim and Neil are both just two examples. There have been hundreds of opportunities flagged by the system, and you can see many of them on our winners section. Once you begin to see how the system is flagging opportunities and at what market cap, you'll begin to see how many opportunities exist in our market environment. It really puts things into perspective. It means you don't have to go chasing that one coin. You don't have to go all in. You can simply wait for the right opportunity to come to you. So we're going to take a look at our weekly standouts here. And first we have Clash. It's currently sitting at a B grade with a 26% confidence score. It's part of the gaming narrative, which has cooled off recently, but the price action has remained surprisingly strong. At number 2, we have Seller. This is currently one of my favorite setups. It's an S grade with a rank 2 and a 31% confidence score. That's one of the strongest combinations on the platform right now. So I personally think this has a very good chance to eventually reach at least $1 million in market cap. And then finally, we have Cashback. It's sitting at an A grade, rank 3 with an 11% confidence score. The confidence score isn't especially high, but because of the A grade that it's got, I think it's worth watching closely, and I do have a position in this because of that A grade. Now, we'll revisit these next week to see how they've performed and compare them against the new opportunities that MoonVision has discovered. What's great about this week's lineup is that we have a coin from each rank, so we'll see whether the rank and grades are indicative of how high the coins will go, or the grades of the lower coins will simply increase as new data comes in. So keep that in mind. So if you guys want to try MoonVision yourself, it's available now at moonvision.trade. The link is in the description down below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, because every week I'll be breaking down the strongest opportunities the system finds, explaining exactly why they stood out, and reviewing how they performed. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.